Welcome to Amalgam Hour, the movie and comic podcast. I'm Robin.
And I'm done.
We're actually discussing today pitches, because how many pitches do I have done? Literally, I think every
Four?
time we play X, 4. I didn't mean it was rhetorical, but okay.
Yeah, I'm answering comedy purposes. Okay, I get stuck with answers.
And you're wrong. The answer's 5. Today, I'm actually discussing 5 Marvel street level event comic pitches, and that's definitely not going to be the title of the video. So that is not catchy. But this is a semi-sequel to the video we did probably a couple of weeks ago now, discussing Marvel street level events. Because I discuss all the time how many pitches and ideas I have. And Dan, I bet you can't guess who's going to be the main character for most of them.
Daredevil.
Oh yeah, Darkseid, bro.
Yeah.
No. You're going to see some similarities between them all. So, there's going to be a story I'm probably going to be calling Maximum Jackal. A story called Cosmic Craven the Hunter. The Marvel Universe versus Peacekeeper. Marvel Knights versus Life campaign. And Street Level TV. And what did you choose to start with? Maximum Jackal, Dan. So here we go. And I want your opinions and stuff, and then people, if you care enough, comment below, discuss, whatever. Okay.
We don't get any views anyway.
Yeah. What was it? We owned this for 3 weeks now? Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know.
People out there won't know that I have a long-running Moonknight pitch I have. It's not even a pitch anymore. It's practically a script with how much I thought of it, yeah? So coming off of that, there's going to be a comic story with Moonknight where he teams up with Taskmaster to kidnap the lizard, Stegron the dinosaur, and the jackal, yeah? Trust me, it makes sense. I know it doesn't sound like it makes sense, but it makes sense. Okay? You win me so far.
Continue. No, I'm lost.
I wouldn't be surprised. So, the comic starts out with Jackal, yeah? But he's in a balaclava and a trench coat. Yeah?
Yeah.
And all we see is him jump over a fence. And then he's going across a big garden. This probably doesn't make sense in canon currently, but I'll make it make sense. And then he goes into a building and you see him slowly slide up a window. And then he steps through the window, yeah? And there's a girl with brown hair, asleep in a bed. He then slowly takes a syringe out and takes her blood, yeah? And then you see him leaving. But as he jumps over the gate to leave, you zoom out and you realise it's Xavier's school for the gifted whatever, yeah?
Yeah.
And then you see, it's a quick scene where he gets his hand on some Skrull DNA. And he also gets his hands on, do you know Lasher the symbiote?
No.
The green. Okay? It's
okay,
just
fair enough.
He then clones it, because you know Jackal's all about clones. He loves his clones.
Yeah.
He clones it, merges it, blah, 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 whatever. All of that shenanigans. And during this time, it's Moonknight. It's pretty much a Moonknight event. But this is a semi-event. It's kind of like Contagion, where it's just 3 issues, no tie-ins, you know? So, really quick, I'm just going to tell this one quite fast, because there's not a lot there. There's no, themes or moral stories. So, all of a sudden, green symbiote starts attacking the city, yeah? Starts attacking the city. It's green, but with, red veins going through him. Do you know how the Carnage has the black on him?
Yeah.
On this one, it's bright red. And you're like, oh, shit, what's that? And then, Moonknight goes there, and he's just fighting a symbiote for a while. And then it reveals, obviously, it's the Jackal. So, green-faced, weird-looking, Gwen Stacy raping Jackal. You know that's what he does. Weird guy. Weird guy. And they're just like, whatever. It's just Moonknight just fighting a regular story. And you're like, why did he take blood from that? Why did he merge this with that, you know? So,
Yeah.
up until a certain point, like halfway through issue 1, you don't know what's going on. And then Spider-Man comes. He's like, hey, Mooney, like, want to save the day? Like, fun banter. And then, pretty much, the Jackal then puts the symbiote, like, stabs it into Spider-Man and starts leeching his blood off of him. Like, physically, like, blood is being pumped out of Spider-Man into the symbiote.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the symbiote becomes more like Spider-Man-like, becomes slimmer, becomes sleeker, gains the eyes, you know?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it starts sticking to walls. And every time Moonknight goes to attack it, its symbiote sense goes off and blocks Moonknight and throws him away. Yeah? And then Jackal's like, oh, it's like he's in a euphoric moment. He's like, oh yes. He's like, Peter Parker, Aunt May, and he's getting all these visions of Peter Parker's memory and that. Yeah?
Yeah.
And then he goes, Doc Ock, Sandman, and then, like, he grows, like, the Doc Ock tentacles, and he, like... So, pretty much, it gets your memories, which it can then do stuff out of that, you know? So if you know that other superpower, it can then mimic it. And that's where the Rogue and Skrull DNA came in. Pretty much, yeah? And I love this idea of him also doing it to regular people. Like, people are trying to run away, and then he just stabs them in the spine and just deliquefies them, which is grim to think about, you know? And during this time, Moonknight's like, I haven't got any powers. So am I the only one left? You know? It's like, oh God. He's like, well, Spider-Man's been defeated. And then, like, another fight happens, and Spider-Man's pretty much taken out of this fight immediately. Like, as soon as he turns up, Jackal's like, I want you, and, like, defeats him. This is going to be a very short story. It could be one issue for all I know. And it could just be in the Moonknight book, you know? But you'll see what happens now. All the Defenders turn up, like Daredevil, Luke Cage, blah, blah, blah.
Is this what makes it an event?
Pretty much. And then Spider-Man's like, Sonics, Flames, use some of that. So, like, Moonknight's trying to blow him up and stuff. And, like, Luke Cage is throwing cars, but it's still the Jackal inside, you know?
Yeah.
And then he obviously tries to get into Luke Cage, and it's not working. He's just, like, stabbing Luke Cage repeatedly over and over and over again. But it's just... But I've done it to be so it can only be if your power comes from your DNA. You know? So it couldn't attack Iron Fist and gain the Iron Fist. You know? Because it doesn't have the power over the chi, etc. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Which I think is a way to not nerf him, but not be goddamn.
Just
really
not go
powerful.
way over too much.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden, so it's just like Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Daredevil all fighting it. And Moonknight's just like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Apparently this is my book. Apparently it's not. I don't know. And then all of a sudden, the symbiote starts to come off of Jackal. And in one quick move, it goes off of Jackal. And you're like, why? And it wraps around Luke Cage. But then the next panel is, where Jackal once stood is just a skeleton now. So as Jackal's been wearing it throughout this fight, the symbiote has been slowly dissolving him from the inside out. Which I'm like, that is so grim, and I love it. But like, Jackal's personality is still in there, you know? But now it's like, he's quipping like Spider-Man, and it's weird, you know? And then he covers Luke Cage fully, and he does the thing which, you know, I always talk about, goes down the throat.
Yeah.
Just tries to dissolve him as much as he can. And he gets a tiny bit of blood, and then, like, Iron Fist does his, like, chi punch. Just punches off of him, yeah?
Yeah.
And this is just going to be a very small story, because I could end it right now. But then they've got to deal with a Spider-Man powered symbiote with impenetrable skin, so now it is no longer weak to fire. You know? So they're like throwing Molotovs on it and stuff, and it's just hitting it and like doing nothing. You know?
Yeah. Okay.
And then the final thing it does is go on to Moonknight. Because he's like, there's no other people around me, and I can't go into Iron Fist because you'll let me off. Daredevil's too fast for me to do. Jessica Jones will punch me. And then Luke Cage is too strong for me to control. You know?
Yeah.
So he goes on to Moonknight, and every time he goes onto him, he gets a bit of their like costume. So now it has like a hood over it. And have you seen Gwenum, I think it's called?
What, the new thing?
Yeah, where a hood is also the teeth of a symbiote. It'd be like that.
Yeah.
And like the thing slowly trying to dissolve him from like inside. So it's just like you're just burning during all of this. And then but it starts whispering in his ear like Venom would. And I want an entire scene where it's Khonshu, Max Spector, Jake Lockley, Stephen Grant, and the symbiote all shouting at each other inside Moonknight's brain. Just a pure scene where it's like, what are you doing? And Jackal's just in the corner of like Moonknight's mindscape, like just like heavy panting, thinking about Gwen Stacy, you know? That's all he does. That's all he does. And then maybe I was thinking that this symbiote becomes like a devotion of like Khonshu or something, yeah? From being inside the mind, like is now devoted to it. So he's got a bit of Moonknight's personality. And then pretty much all that happens, yeah? All of a sudden, a web goes through the symbiote and gets pulls Moonknight out. And then all of a sudden, a red beam comes from the sky and just destroys it, yeah?
Yeah.
You with me? And then when you look, it's just
I'm still with you.
It's just Cyclops and the entire X-Men team. Like, can someone explain?
Is this still the first story?
What?
Is this still part of that first story?
What, with symbiote with Maximum Jackal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. So it's short, but it could go on for long, you know. But this is the condensed version. Fight. Like, you could see him go up against Cloak and Dagger, the New Warriors, you know? The Avengers.
Just take them all out.
Too. But then I love the idea of just the X-Men turning up and being like, that weird green guy broke into our school. And then Rogue's like, and he took my blood. And just like rubbing like a needle mark on her arm. So that's pretty much the main. And by the way, a part of the symbiote has stayed on Moonknight, and then that's going to go into the Moonknight run. I have an idea for. So pretty much, it's just could be one issue of Moonknight, or it could be a 5-issue miniseries. You know.
Yeah.
Where it's like every part of the Marvel universe dealing with Maximum Jackal, and I'm like, that is such a horrible name for it, and I love it. You know.
It's just so bad.
That's gonna have people buy it just because they're like, oh my god, what is this gonna be? You know?
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. That's pretty much that. Just a small story, but it could go on for long, I reckon.
A small story with lots of potential.
Yeah. And that's what you need. Not like other ones like Absolute Carnage. No offense. Or you could call it... I like Maximum Jackal. I don't like Absolute Jackal. I'm like, shut up.
Maybe in 30 years.
Yeah. And you know he's going to do the Carnage thing of, like, making clones of himself, because that's what Jackal does all the time, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, why is he doing this? It's like, because he found out the way to be one of the most powerful beings, you know? Taking people's
you might as well carry on.
Easy. And, like, he also did it to, like, piss off Spider-Man. Because you know that's going to happen. He's still pissed that she took Gwen Stacy off of him. Okay. Now this is a run that leads into an event. Cosmic Craven the Hunter. Yeah? So we all know
Yeah.
Craven the Hunter. No one cares about him, but we all know him. Craven the Hunter gets bored on Earth, yeah?
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, don't even care anymore. He's like, I've hunted down everything worth on this planet. And then he has flashbacks to like Craven's last hunt where he shot himself, and he's like, that was a weird time in my life. And he teams up with the Tinkerer to make an Ant-Man style helmet that can talk to animals as long as he shoots them. Like, do you know, like a tracking bullet or like nanobots or whatever.
Yeah.
Shoot, boom, control them. And I'm like, that has like some room to have a crazy event, yeah? Because first I was just thinking, oh, Cosmic Craven the Hunter, he just goes into space and defeats them. But then I thought of the idea of an event coming off of it. So the first issue is like Craven the Hunter taking down the Lizard and Stegron. You know, all the animal-based villains in New York. I'm pretty sure I'm going to call it Pest Control. Swarm appears. Old Lace from the Runaways. Moonknight appears, just because.
Did you just want a dinosaur there?
Yes, I want a dinosaur there. Why wouldn't I want a dinosaur there? Devil Dinosaur appears, tracks them all. Like, it's a big epic fight, but like tracks them all. And then the next issue is, at the end of that issue, no, wait, I'm going through my own brain now. What is it? He goes to the Savage Lands. Yeah?
Okay.
Takes on Sauron, takes on Mole Man, takes on Khazar. You know, the regular Savage Land dealings. Where else did he go? Not a clue. Doesn't matter. He then hops aboard. He like sneaks on to a Nova ship or the Guardians of the Galaxy ship or a Skrull ship. You know, something where he can go into space. There's then, and every issue is a different fight with a different opponent. You know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. One issue set on Earth where he's fighting all the big creatures. You know, like Fin Fang Foom and like all the Jack Kirby creatures, you know? Like all those. One issue where he takes on Hulk and Abomination. But he takes over Abomination in the first round. And then is like VR controlling him throughout. You know? Like, you've seen the film Real Steel, yeah? So Craven the Hunter becomes Hugh Jackman outside the boxing ring. And he's like doing punches. And Abomination's just like smacking the hell out of the Hulk. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. And then he goes into space. He goes to nowhere. Shoots the cosmic dog. That's up there. Out in space. Just shoots him. He's like, get out my face. One shot. One kill. Easy. But then he obviously takes on the Guardians of the Galaxy. Because they're out there. They're going to be involved. And you know what? He looks at Rocket Raccoon and just shoots him in the forehead. But it's not killing them. It's like nanobots that can't be removed from your bloodstream. You know?
Yeah.
Like, they go onto your, like, brain cortex and, like, fuse themselves in. This is, like, the Tinkerer, maybe the Tinkerer's technology and the Maker, you know? Like, the really smart villains came together. Because it's just Craven's like, here's the money from my entire estate. I want to go be a part of the wider galaxy. And then, what other aliens do you think he could take on out in space? I want one issue where it's him versus the Brood. You know, him just badass. And by the way, like, I would love it if he like kills broods and then makes it a part of his outfit. You know? Like, he is the frill of a brood on his back, or a crown version.
Just him going in space, killing people, and like taking like trophies and stuff.
Like if he has to kill them, he'll kill them and then take the trophies. But mostly it will be him with his tracking gun, just in a brood nest, just shooting them all. You know, because he has a plan.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
The plan is never told, but he has a plan. Trust me. He then goes out and he obviously goes to like Null or whatever, wherever the symbiotes are. And he gets himself a symbiote suit, but it's not like whispering in his ear, because he just shoots it and now he controls it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like Venom, part of the Brood, you know? Just cool. Probably takes on some Skrulls, maybe some Cronins. Do you know the rock dudes from World War?
Oh, yeah, everyone loves them.
What other?
A couple of Kree.
Kree, definitely. What other aliens are out there? It's so hard to think.
Trying to think of like big. There's not really many that.
There's not. A lot of them are on Earth, like the big ones. Oh,
yeah.
There could also be an issue where he takes on like the monsters of like Earth. So like Frankenstein and Dracula and Werewolf by Night, you know?
Oh, yeah, all them.
That sort of thing. Which could be a fun book, maybe. Hopefully, you know?
Yeah.
But then I was like, okay. All of a sudden, he lands on a different planet. And he's like, oh. Like, it's just him, like, in a spaceship, going from planet to planet now. Just like, I will hunt down everything in this galaxy. And you're like, okay, bit weird, but alright. And then he lands on a planet. And he walks over to a abandoned spaceship that's just like crashed into the dirt, yeah?
Yeah.
And you're like, what is this? So he's just going through it. He's also looking for survivors because he's like, doesn't want to kill, like, people, you know? He's just like, I'm just here to hunt. But he's like Kree Skrulls and stuff. They aren't people. And it's like human design spaceship. Like NASA spaceship, not like Kree.
Not like an actual spaceship.
Yeah. So he's walking through and he's like, And he's just finding people like dead, brains obliterated. And he's like, I don't even know what's going on here. And then all of a sudden he comes across an egg. And he's like, what the bloody hell is this? Like a bunch of eggs on the floor. And then the lights on his helmet, like, illuminate the room. Like, he turns them up a bit. And all that's in the corner of every single one of, like, this room. Xenomorphs. Yeah? Marvel owns them. Bring them in. Cosmic Kraven the Hunter makes bank. You know? Just one issue of Kraven the Hunter versus Xenomorphs. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Like, the ultimate hunter versus the ultimate, like, attacker, you know?
Yeah.
Because they aren't... Because what is it? It's not prey. What's the opposite of prey?
Predator.
Predator. Speaking of Predator, the next issue is a hunter versus a hunter. So it starts off with Kraven the... Because they also own that license, so you're going to use them. Kraven the Hunter is hunting down the Predator, but then the roles are reversed and it then becomes the Predator hunting down Kraven. You know?
Yeah.
And obviously he wins and stuff. And then you're like, oh, that was like... And then it leaves with like one image of him holding it with his helmet on a planet. And he's controlling the Brood and Xenomorphs and a Predator and a bunch of Skrulls and just on this planet, yeah. And you're like, oh, well, that was a weird 7-issue like mini-series. That was strange, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, okay. And then you go, you Google, what is out Marvel 2025, yeah? And then you see a book called, I don't know, Cosmic Attack, you know, something stupid. And the image is Earth with predators, xenomorphs, Brood, all the monsters from Earth, the savage land creatures all flying towards Earth. Yeah? That's the cover. And it is similar to a book that came out a couple of years ago called Monsters Unleashed, where one boy has control over monsters. Like, if he draws them, they then appear and he can control them. So he's going to be a major figure in this. like event, you know.
Yeah.
But think of all the tie-ins that could happen through that. Because think about it, all the ones he's tagged, they're also going to be fighting. The Hulk is on his side, you know?
Yeah.
Because if he tagged the Hulk's coming with him. So it's just like, I just imagine a scene where Bruce Banner's just like doing something science. And then all of a sudden his eyes glow, like the colour. Because, you know, every time someone's controlled, their eyes got to change colour or something. Just to show that they're controlled. All of a sudden he's like, what the hell? And then he feels the Hulk trying to get out. I'm just like, that's going to be sick. Because you don't... Like, with a bunch of X-Men books, you've seen, like, the Skrulls, like, the Brood invade. In Avengers books, you see the Skrulls invade, you know? What if everything invaded all at once? That's what I want to see.
Everyone's dead.
Exactly. And it's going to be fun. Like, there's going to be higher stakes. Because he's not like, I want to kill everyone. He's like, I want to get rid of these superheroes. What's the point?
Yeah.
There's no point in having them. There's something to be hunted, you know?
Yeah.
And what is a hunter or a, like, whatever, without a loyal dog by his side? Like, you know how dogs and wolves used to attack foxes and stuff when they went hunting? That's what he sees the xenomorphs as, you know?
Yeah.
So I want to tie in where it's Moon Knight versus a xenomorph. Give it to me. Put it in my veins, you know? Like, anything you want could happen, potentially. You know? Fin Fan Foom's getting involved. And then it's like... Because the kid's name from Monster Unleashed, who can control monsters, is called the Kaiju Kid. Which is such a stupid name. But I'm like, okay. Makes sense. But he can also control them. So then there's going to be a thing between him and Kraven trying to fight over the control. And I definitely want the story to end by Kraven getting a face hugger on him. Because you know I want to see that.
Yeah.
You know? Or have someone else. And then that could lead up to a Xenomorph event. Where it's just like Marvel versus Xenomorphs. You know? I want to see a Hulk Xenomorph. I want to see a Wolverine Xenomorph. I want to see a Blur Xenomorph, you know? Anything. Honestly, this is the book where it's not about the story or morals.
It's more about the adventure.
I want to see cool shit. You know? And
Yeah.
Cosmic Ghost Rider did good. And Cosmic Kraven will do good if in the advertising you put Kraven next to a Xenomorph. You know? Boom,
yeah, the Xenomorph will bring in more sales than Kraven the Hunter.
Exactly. That's why they're there. You know?
Yeah.
Which I think, it may not be a great story, but it would bring in bank. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, let's go on to the next one, yeah? We should rank these. They're all F. There you go. Because Kraven Hunter is more of a run, and then it leads into a huge event, which then could lead into another event. I want Xenomorphs on it.
So it's pretty much like the Venom series is to like King in Black and Absolute Carnage.
But it's all short, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, 7-issue miniseries into a 4-issue miniseries into a 4-issue miniseries, you know?
Yeah.
But it's not... But it's like... All you need to know to read the Xenomorph miniseries is... there are a bunch of Xenomorphs are on Earth. That's all you need to know. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's fun. And that could be a street level event within itself. You know?
Yeah.
Be like on the ground level, people are disappearing. You know? And I'm just like, that's going to be cool. I want to see Captain America's shield slice through a Xenomorph. That's what I want. I want to see Wolverine fighting a Xenomorph. But as he's being splattered with acid, he's just tanking it. So he's just using his claws and just going through them like they're nothing. I'm like, that's fun. That's what I call fun. That's like a popcorn entertainment thing. Where you turn off your brain and you look at cool pictures. You know?
Yeah.
Then there's Peacekeeper, which I actually recently told you about. So, main synopsis is, a sword lands on Earth. Due to some shenanigans with Moonknight, a person gets possessed by the sword. And it's a plant creature. And you learn throughout the story that it's actually a guardian of one of the Katati moons. If you don't know who the Katati is, read Empire and waste your money and get bored. There you go. That's what happens if you read Empire, trust me. See, I like Marvel, but I don't. You know?
Yep.
So, pretty much, because I've explained this to you, huge plant god with omnipotent, like, he's definitely got power cosmic. And you learn that he has been going from planet to planet after Galactus has been visited it, yeah? And he's trying to bring the planet back together. And the moral of the story is, like, he doesn't understand that our planet hasn't been destroyed. So, the Fantastic Four and Avengers, it's a Fantastic Four and Avengers event. Like, these ain't even, like, street level events anymore. This is, like, blur. But it's got room for tie-ins. And he's trying to recreate the world, but the world's still, like, the Earth is still here. So he's just tearing stuff up and making it, like, prehistoric. He's getting rid of global warming while getting rid of houses, you know? Causing mountains to appear when they don't need to be. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it ends up being that they then have to defeat Doom, who, through a series of events, used a piece of this god to get similar powers. You know? He got a piece of this, he mixed it with some, like, the Asgardian Destroyer, because that was a comic a while ago, and it was a cool scene. He uses the corpses of Asgardians to recreate the Destroyer in his image. And I'm like, that is crazy. So let's go for that. Cosmic power plus Asgardian plus magic plus Doom. And then he tries to take over.
Yeah.
And then, the end, it's like, oh god, like, I now have to go to another planet. Because Galactus, like, carried on roaming after this, you know? And then the final thing that happens, the main boom point, like, wow, good story, had morals. I have no clue what her name is, but Reed Richards and Sue Storm's daughter
decides I know you're
to become
about
the herald of the Peacekeeper. That's just what I've called it. It definitely needs, like, a design or a redesign of the name. I was thinking maybe Atlas, because he's connected to the gods, isn't he? And he is a god that held up the earth. You know? So it kind of fits, like, thematically. You know?
Yeah.
And then she decides to become the herald, and then it's pretty much, well, what are the consequences? Doom has a little bit more power than he had, and she has gone off to become the herald. But, we discussed this, loads of tie-ins, please. Loads of tie-ins. Now, this is actually what I want to talk about. I want to redo Contagion. The Thing, Human Torch, and Moonknight trapped in the Baxter building versus the Contagion virus that got out because of the god's plant powers. We've discussed
Is Moonknight just there just because he's Moonknight?
Just because he's Moonknight and he solved, like, the other one.
He solved it last time.
Yeah, so it's like a rematch type thing. And I want, like, we tried to think of more, but we couldn't really. But, like, a Man-Thing tie-in, because it's all to do with plants and recreating the earth. And then what else did we think of? Street-level characters versus Mole Man, because, like, that's how the story begins.
Because that was going on beforehand.
Yeah. The Hulk dealing with his de-Hulk powers, because the god also has the power of cosmic peace. So the Hulk goes to fight him, and he just says the word no, and then the Hulk reverts into Bruce Banner. I would love to see, like, 1 or 2 issues of Bruce Banner dealing with the leader, an Abomination, but he can turn into the Hulk. You know?
Yeah.
So do you know the usual thing of brains versus brawn? He literally has to. Because usually it's Abomination versus Hulk. but not this time. He's dealing with
Abomination
them as
versus
Bruce
Banner.
Banner. And I'm like, that could be a fun idea, you know? Like, there's something...
Assuming it would end with him becoming the Hulk again.
Yeah. Like, in the main tie-in, you see, like, him revert everyone that he messed with. Or the main book. And it just so happens to be, during a fight with Abomination, Abomination is about to kill Bruce Banner. And then they all get put back. And then all of a sudden, Abomination's fist comes down. And then all of a sudden you start seeing Abomination's fist be pushed away as Bruce Banner gets slowly bigger and greener. And I'm just like, oh, that could be like a fun reveal, you know?
Yeah.
And it could, like, it ties in without tying in. That's pretty much
Yeah, it's sort of like a Bruce Banner guest thing. It's not really important to the story, nor what happens to him.
Yeah, like...
It's just then, if you want to know.
Yeah, because when he comes to Earth, the god says, I have fought Terrax. I have consulted with the Watcher. I am Atlas. Yeah? Like, that's...
Yeah.
Like, and then when he next goes to a planet, he says the phrase, I have defeated Terrax. I have consulted the Watcher. I have calmed the Hulk. I am Atlas. You know? Like, the biggest feats he's ever done. And just imagine... So, imagine someone came up to you and said all of that, yeah? And you know the Hulk, what the Hulk can do. You'd be like, oh, shit. You know?
Not any of the rest, just, oh, crap, he can't Hulk.
Yeah. And, like, the Watcher's big and stuff, and Terrax. And that's how, like... And there's a fight with Silver Surfer in it, which I love the idea that as soon as he sees Silver Surfer, because he doesn't know that it's not one of Galactus's heralds, he just fights it automatically. And it's like... And Reed Richards is just like, come on, we just discussed this, bro. Like, it's okay, just chill. But no. And then here's the one which is the most thought out. Actually, Peacekeeper probably was. Because for the viewers at home, they got a very summarized version. For you, you got like what? Like, I told you it for about an hour. Every small detail of minute.
4 laps of the lake, to be exact.
Yeah. There you go. And then this is one called Marvel Knights. So I want to bring back the Marvel Knights like name. Marvel Knights versus the Life campaign. This might change, but you know.
It's the Life campaign that's like to do with Venom and that thing.
No.
Or at least it was in the Venom movie.
Was it? I don't have a clue. I
think it was the company in the Venom.
Well, then we'll change the name at a later date, but it doesn't matter. So pretty much, it starts off with Spider-Man and like a couple of the Defenders and stuff fighting like the Sinister Six. Yeah? And
yeah.
It's just like a quick fight to start it off. But during the fight, Tinkerer dies. Spider-Man fails to save the Tinkerer, so he dies. Yeah? Like, he webs to grab Tinkerer as a building's falling on top of him, and the web doesn't quite reach in time. Like, it's like the Gwen Stacy thing. And then you're like, oh, okay, that's pretty depressing. And then it's like weeks later. And you're like, And then you follow Moonknight, and he's being Max Spector, and he's looking for places to get stock in. Because he's businessman, money, needs it. And he learns of a new museum that's being funded in the middle of New York. And he goes there because he thinks it could be like a good investment, you know? Because I'm pretty sure if you invest in government-funded things, you don't get taxed for them. So that's pretty much what he's trying to do. And then you learn it's a superhero museum, but dedicated to the tech. And you're like, interesting idea. And the main building it looks like a generic museum, but on top of it are a bunch of sentinels, like the huge ones, as statues instead of like Roman soldiers or whatever. Like it's sentinels. And you're like, okay, this is cool. And you walk in and you look at the map, yeah? Like, I'd love one page where it's just the map. Kind of like in Old Man Logan, when they give you the map of the USA, when it got taken over by all the villains. So you can go, oh, there's an entire room dedicated to Iron Man suits. There's an entire room dedicated to Spider-Man's rogues. You know? Like, it's got pieces of, like, Ultron, of Iron Man, of War Machine, of Stilt Man, of Goblin Gliders, all of that, yeah? every tech-based superhero, villain, anyone you could think of is there. Even, do you know the old Human Torch, which was an android? He's being used as a torch to illuminate the garden of this museum. Yeah? So it's like, what the hell's going on? And during it, Max Spector meets up with the owner, who's this young dude in like a turtleneck sort of thing. Glasses, quite suave looking. But he talks very old. And he's like, you're white, you seem wiser than you look, sort of thing. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then Peter Parker goes there, and Max Spector and Spider-Man are like, we know each other. You know, sort of thing. Because Peter Parker's gone there to take photos. Because, you know, or it depends what job he's having at the time. Because, his job's always changing, you know?
Yeah.
So they meet up. So it's like, this seems really interesting. And then, like, later on in the day, a protest is happening around the museum. And all the heroes show up to be like, maybe we need a camera sort of thing. But then you learn that it's not a protest about the museum. It's a protest being controlled by the museum. So people are surrounding it to support it. Because the guy who owns it has started a protest against superheroes. And that's where this life campaign or life protest comes from, yeah? Because he's talking about how they've let people die. They cause more death than they need to. And his main case is the Punisher. Sort of thing, yeah?
Yeah.
And then that's like the intro. Then throughout the middle of the portion is them dealing with the public not liking them as much. And like they keep getting attacked by like androids. Yeah? So just like generic looking androids which are really powerful. They keep like fighting them and stuff. And they're like, we don't even know who's controlling this. But the key for these android attacks is they're causing lots of property damage and deaths. So then the protesters, every time one of them happens, they rise up, you know? And it's like, it's even more evidence. And Punisher finally has enough, yeah? So he does the usual thing. He goes onto a building very far away. Or like, not far away, but like one street across. And he's just like, hell, I'm just going to snipe him. Because I randomly think that these androids got something to do with him. So I'm just going to kill him. You know?
Yeah.
And then the bullet is fired. Hitting the main guy in the head. But it deflects off of him. And you're like, what the hell? And then there's two posts on either side. So it's not even like a protest. It's like, do you know an election? When like in America and stuff, they'll have like a mayor's platform and they stand on it and there's like signs and stuff behind them.
Yeah.
It's like that. And all of a sudden, similar to Doc Ock tentacles start moving, which were actually the posts holding up the flags and stuff. And they connect into this dude's back and he slowly rises up. And you're like, oh shit, is that Doc Ock? And then he is using hologram technology, so Mysterio hologram technology, to make himself look like a person. It fades away every now and again. And you can see there is actually an Ultron-like robot body underneath. Yeah?
Yeah.
And you then learn throughout, and then Moonknight, Daredevil, every single street level hero you can think of gets in on this fight. Because he is powerful, because he's got the technology of every single superhero and supervillain. That was the main point of the museum, was to be able to get the technology and analyze it. You know?
Yeah.
And he's been working very closely with damage control, because obviously they go out and collect stuff and bring it back. But this is a government-funded thing, and then you learn that it was actually Tinkerer. When he died, he used, do you know the story Superior Spider-Man? Where Doc Ock takes Spider-Man's like soul out of his body and switch places with him. He did that, but into a robot body sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the whole reason he's doing this is because he's pissy that he died. So the whole motive that, oh yeah, you're letting people die on your watch. No, the motive is, you let me die on your watch. You know? All I do is supply the weapons to the villains. They would be able to get them no matter what. Like, they'll just go find out another avenue. But you let me die. An old man you let die in the middle of a street, surrounded by people that didn't care for him, you know? So he's just so petty, and you're like, oh my god, shut up. But he's attacking them, and he's got like Stiltman legs, he's got Machine Man's extendable arms. His arms open up like Ulysses Claw does in the movie, but there's like machine guns underneath.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's like, so the like mid-climax sort of thing is just them versus this almost undefeatable robot, because he's just got so much stuff, and he's got like, imagine if Doc Ock's tentacles, there was like 10 of them all wrapped around each other. You have them, so like, literal like squid-like octopus going across the city. So every time, like say Luke Cage goes to punch the robot, they'll come out of nowhere and grab him with every limb and throw him across the street, you know? And through this entire time, he's been trying to expose the heroes, try and make them take off their masks and take responsibility for what they've done. So every time he sees one of their faces, it's like he's hacked into the entire news station of New York, and all of a sudden over all of the screens it's like Punisher, like his real name, all of his kills he's ever got is there, big number, you can see, most infamous serial killer ever, you know, all damage. And he takes off like Hellcat's mask, he does that for Cloak and Dagger, he does it for everyone, not everyone, Shang-Chi, you know, people who aren't wearing masks, he does it instantly. But then he starts like going off and taking them off. Like, that's the main purpose of his fight now. Like Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, the people who don't wear masks. And I'm thinking, if I were to write a Moon Knight run, would I want Moon Knight's mask to come off? Like, I'm not sure yet, you know?
Oh, whether he'd be one who would manage to get away with it, or...
Yeah, it depends what story I could move on from that.
Yeah.
But this is the thing where it's like, it's got a theme. Should they be stopped or not? You know? So it's kind of like Civil War, but it's like the people's Civil War. It's not the government, it's not Tony Stark. It's the people rising up to go against these heroes. You know?
Yeah.
And I just think that's a fun idea. And it ends with, like, them all teaming up. Oh, yeah, and by the way, I'm pretty sure I stole this from a Transformers film. But when he versus Luke Cage, he implants himself into the ground. And then his face splits open, the robot, and a huge gun comes out of it. Like, out of his torso. And it's a huge, like, tank shell of a bullet to take out Luke Cage. Because he knows his guns aren't going to be able to do shit. So he just, like, fires it at Luke Cage. And does the thing in the show where he knocks him out. He, like, messes up his brain enough to where he can't fight currently. You know?
Okay.
And I'm just like, that's just fun. And they're like, there could be tie-ins and stuff, but this to me sounds more like a
condensed, like, not condensed, a contained story.
Like, everyone who's dealing with this is currently in this fight right now, in the middle of New York, you know?
Yeah.
And then probably Moon Knight defeats him by the guy underestimating him or something, you know?
Just so Moon Knight can be the hero.
Or like, because I'm pretty sure I want it to be like, led by Moon Knight, Daredevil, Punisher, Spider-Man. You know? Like, they're the main focuses. So like, some of them beat him up. But all the people see is this robot defending the protesters. Since one guy just shot at him, he's defending them all now and trying to stop them and exposing superheroes for what they are. And then all of a sudden, his robot body is torn to shreds by something. Either like Spider-Man and Luke Cage teaming up, or Moon Knight just like finding a weak point in it and just blowing it up or something, you know?
Yeah.
I just want a quick story, like a thing where it's like, are the heroes right, wrong? Like, and there's going to be consequences for it. Where it's like, yet again, like Spider-Man isn't trusted, you know. A lot of the street level
loses
heroes
the trust of the
trusted
people.
again. Yeah, and you know, J. Jonah Jameson's hopefully going to be up in this, you know.
Yeah, he's just going to be taking full advantage out of it.
Yeah, and that's just a small story. But I like that one. I think I like that one the most because it has an interesting villain. It's got interesting scenes and art pieces you could do.
And consequences.
Yeah, it has consequences, has themes, has morality involved. Now, this is the one that has none of those things. Street level TV. Yeah?
Okay. Yeah.
So the first issue, like, you see a guy or like two people in like hoods and trench coats scoping out all the street level heroes, yeah? And I don't just mean like the Defenders and Spider-Man and Moonknight and Punisher. I mean the New Warriors, Power Pack, Force Works, Great Lakes Avengers, Champions, you know?
Just all of them.
Yeah. Everyone except like Avengers and shit.
Just the main Avengers team.
Yes. Just
at that moment in time. Ones
that are more about the people. You know?
Not just fighting big cosmic beings.
Yes. Yes. And those two people then go to Arcade. Do you know who Arcade is?
No.
He's Jigsaw, like the killer. In Marvel. So he makes elaborate death traps and amusement parks and stuff and puts heroes in it. And these two people go to him.
Interesting.
And they're like, hey, we need you. We have a proposition for you. And you go through the story going to every single superhero and they're all getting the same invite to something. But, like, Cloak's invite will be from Spider-Man and Spider-Man's invite will be from Wolverine. And Wolverine's invite is from the New Warriors, you know?
Yeah, it's all being invited from different people and
so it's just
no one actually has invited anybody.
Yeah. So it's just like, what the hell are we going? So they all turn up to this warehouse thinking that they're going to fight someone or something, you know? Or there's going to be a party thrown.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like Spider-Man's birthday coming up. So a lot of people think that it's just Spider-Man's like birthday or whatever,
birthday party.
Or Wolverine's something.
Just someone's birthday's near.
And they all go to this warehouse and then it locks it around them. Yeah. And you're like, what the hell is this? And Wolverine's like, something doesn't smell right. And Spider-Man's spidey sense is blaring the entire time. You know?
Yeah.
And they look up and they see three people stood on this balcony. It's Arcade, Spiral, who you 100% don't know, and then a new character. And then they start breaking the fourth wall kind of, where it's like, do you know how well people view street level crime stories? Spider-Man, people love you, you know? That sort of thing. Where it's like, this is the most interesting content I've ever seen. And then all of a sudden they pull a lever, you feel a rumble, and then the roof opens up, and they are now in an arena, and all three of the characters say, "Welcome to the Mojo-verse." Yeah?
Yeah.
And if people don't know, Mojo is a guy from a different universe where all he cares about is TV views. And he's a huge green goblin man in a robot chair. So he's come up with the idea. Spiral, by the way, is Longshot's girlfriend, who Mojo then warped and mutated into his right-hand man. Pretty much, yeah? That's all you need to know. So he's teamed up with Arcade to create the best running series ever. And it's going to be an entire channel, and it's called Street Level TV. Yeah?
Yeah.
And then I literally, the rest of the comic is. So that's literally like issue 1. And I don't have anything for the middle, but I just know that's the setup. And I want there to be a warehouse of villains as well. And they get all teleported in, and then they're all forced to fight each other in different teams and scenarios, using hologram technology like Danger Room stuff to like put them into fights from their past and relive it, all for the entertainment of the people in the Mojoverse. You know?
Okay.
I just want to have cool fights and have it be a mixture of like World War Hulk and an episode of Ben 10. Because there's one episode of Ben 10 where Ben and Kevin Levin get teleported to a spaceship, and they then have to fight for people's entertainment. You know? That's what this is.
Yeah.
And I love the name Street Level TV. Because it's so stupid. And I love it. And think of all the tie-ins that could happen with this. You know? You have the main one dealing with like Spider-Man and like Wolverine and like Cap maybe, or The Thing, you know? Something like that. But then you could have a New Warriors tie-in, a Champions tie-in, Moonknight, Great Lakes Avengers, Power Pack, Force Works, Cloak and Dagger, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like, the Avengers aren't going to come to help, so we have to get out ourselves. And that's pretty much the whole story, yeah. But I just love the setup for... Because usually we see, like, Avengers deal with Mojo. We see the X-Men deal with Mojo, you know?
Yeah.
I want to see...
Some of the bigger teams deal with it.
Yeah. And they deal with it in, like, a nonchalant way. Like, it's like, oh, we've got to fight one or two things, and then we go to Mojo, threaten him, and then we get sent back. But this one, it's like, no. Every fight we have, we're fighting for our lives. And it's like... Imagine Spider-Man had a tie-in, yeah, and his scenario is he's got to refight Green Goblin on the Brooklyn Bridge as Gwen Stacy falls to her death, you know?
Yeah.
Because Mojo thinks that will be the best source of entertainment for people in the Mojoverse. So, like, Spider-Man's reliving it, Moon Knight's going through, like, the death of his brother, you know?
Just, they're all going through reliving traumatic experiences.
Traumatic experiences where they've all almost died, and it's like a condensed version. Like, Spider-Man will fight Green Goblin, Gwen Stacy will die, he will then get trapped under a bunch of rubble and have to redo the thing where he picks it all up, you know?
Yeah.
In like the same 5 minutes, because Mojo wants a really good episode of a TV show, you know?
Yeah.
And he's teamed up with Arcade, so it's like death traps and like scary stuff, you know? He's bringing maybe some aliens, loads of villains, and even the villains don't want to be there. They're like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to, like, fight you right now, Spider-Man. We have to, like, deal with something else. But, like, they have to, you know?
Yeah, it's just what they have to deal with.
Yeah. I'm just like, there you go. That's just a fun idea. Stupid names for all of them, you know?
Yeah.
Maximum Jackal, Cosmic Craven, Street Level TV. Oh, I could imagine that though. I could imagine it like WandaVision, where it's like, today's episode will be nice and bright and colourful, you know, and it's like, they're all set on a movie TV thing, but then when you pan out to see the arena, it's like horrible mutant people and like Mojo sat in his chair, like laughing maniacally, you know. Stupid Arcade with his orange hair and red bow tie. Oh, there you go, Dan. There's 5.
Is that all your pitches?
That's 5 of my Marvel event pitches, which is like,
jeez,
that's like 5% of all the pitches I have for like Marvel and DC. I obviously have loads of pitches for myself.
It's just the Amalgam Hour, not the Amalgam 15 hours.
Yeah, that's true. But those are different episodes, you know? We'll discuss
part 2.
Moon Knight at a later date. Discuss Martian Manhunter, I guess. Don't know what.
Oh yeah, I forgot you have a Martian Manhunter one. Get away from just Marvel Street Level.
Yeah. Well, some of these weren't even street level. Like the tie-ins.
No.
But then like Street Level TV, that's the epitome of street level, you know? I can't... Oh, So which one was your favourite out of those pitches? You're allowed to say they're stupid, because most of them are.
They are stupid. They are stupid ideas.
Like, the only one I think I really like is the Peacekeeper and the Life campaign one. Because those, like, both have morals and actual thought-out ideas. But then the other three...
My favourite is probably the street-level TV, just because I love it when they live through traumatic experiences.
Yeah.
Just love them suffering.
A maniacal...
I love... I hate a character's story if there's no death.
Yeah. But, like,
one of my big complaints in the street-level video was that people didn't die.
Yeah. But I'm like, who's going to die in this? Like, androids pretending to be other people. But it's like, it's also the trauma.
It's like no one knew is going to die, but they're having to live through all deaths.
Imagine a Wolverine tie-in where every issue is a different decade like WandaVision, but it's because he's lived through every decade.
Yeah,
you know?
Everyone he knows is just dying and getting old.
Yeah, and he's in like World War One, World War Two, Vietnam, you know? Punisher watches his family die again. Ugh. My favourite's probably Life Campaign, Peacekeeper, or Street Level. The other two are just fun. Good ideas. There you go. Thanks for watching into this stupid podcast about my stupid pitches of the Amalgam Hour. There we go. There's the full title. We nailed it. This is...
Oh.
Go on then.
I'm good.
Please tell us what you think about these pitches down below, and go and follow our social medias at the Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter. This has been the Amalgam Hour. Thank you for listening.